on the Rhody Sports Network.
You know, to be quite honest with you, it's humbling to be with good people. That's what we wanted to be a part of.
This is the Archie Miller Show. For the next hour, we'll bring you an inside look at Rams basketball. Tonight's show is brought to you by Pizza Gourmet. Rhode Island's wood-grilled pizza crust is a proud sponsor of URI Athletics. Dunkin' Donuts. Sip the Rhody way. Rhode Island Medical Imaging, the official medical imaging company of URI Athletics. Newport Propane, Rhode Island's #1 choice for all your propane needs. Ortho Rhode Island, the official orthopedic and sports medicine provider for URI Athletics. Dave's Fresh Marketplace, better food, better service. Bank RI, bank on our strength. Now, here's your host, Steve MacDonald.
Good evening and welcome everybody to the Boon Street Market. We are thrilled to be here. This is our maiden voyage for URI basketball coaches shows, football coaches, and anybody down here for URI. We've got a lot of URI fans here all the time, but for the first time we'll be broadcasting here for the next hour talking URI hoops with the big game against Providence College coming up on Saturday. Big thanks to Brandon and Jake who run the show around here at Boon Street. Awesome place. Wow. First time in, Coach. You've been here?
I have, yeah. We've been here a bunch with the team. We've been here with recruits. This is one of the best spots in town.
It's awesome. And they got the courts next door where the Summer League goes on, right?
It's a beautiful court.
For years,
It's one of the best outdoor courts I've seen in a while.
Over the course of decades, right? The best Summer League anywhere in this area. So I've been down there, but now they got the new place. They opened up, 6 months ago. I was talking to Jake about it, but thanks to Brandon and Jake for having us down. And before we forget, we want to let you know, if you don't have, well, even if you do have tickets for Saturday's game against Providence over at the Ryan Center, starts at noon. It's an early one, but even earlier, they'll be opening up here at 10 in the morning. They're going to open up at Boon Street so that you can come on in, relax. If you do have tickets, you can head up to the game after getting a bite to eat over here and enjoying yourself for a little bit. If you don't, they'll have the game on all the big screens around here, and there's like 150 of them. And then after the basketball game ends, we're going to switch over to the football game, URI against Mercer, which starts at 2 o'clock. So it works out great. You can stay here all day and root for URI in men's basketball, and then in football after that. And just enjoy yourself at the Boon Street Market. So a full day of activity. Even better, though, if you can get tickets, head on up to the Ryan Center after swinging in here for a little bit for the noontime tip. There are tickets. I just talked to Maureen, who is in charge of tickets at URI. Just released a few tickets. There's, she said, a couple of hundred maybe that are available. GoRhody.com. Hop on right now if you can. If you're listening and you wanted to get to that game and thought, it's sold out. There are a couple of hundred tickets available. GoRhody.com, or in the morning you can call 874-RAMS to hop on board and get a couple of tickets, 4 tickets, whatever you need for the game. You buy them through the university, so that's the way you want to do it. A couple of hundred left. Chance to get into this game, which was thought to be sold out, but a few became available, so make sure you get on top of that and make it. Because, Coach, I know you mentioned it in the postgame last game and that big win against Yale. We'll talk about a little bit how important it is to have that place packed.
Well, I mean, home court is where you develop a program's identity in terms of having, sustainable success. There's nothing like playing at home. And, I think with our fan base, that arena, you want that to be a hard place to play, no doubt about it, especially once it comes to conference play, because that's how you set yourself up for success, is being able to take care of business at home. And, Saturday will be a fun environment for sure. And as we keep moving along down the line, we need that place to be rocking.
Absolutely. And I was talking to Candler just a moment ago, and they got a couple of big things planned for that game on Saturday at noon. URI and Providence College. It's going to be Keeney out, so we're urging everybody to wear Keeney blue to the game and support URI in that way as well. And get there early if you can. First of all, there's going to be a lot of traffic getting in. It is going to be sold out by then for sure. Only a couple of hundred seats remain. And we want everybody in their seats because they're giving out these cards. I had one. I seem to have lost it here. But you take this sticker off the back of it, you put it on your cell phone, and it shoots out blue light. Nice. So the whole place will be in blue. So that's Candler's idea, and he's making it happen, so it's pretty cool. I'll show you one later. Of course, I won't be able to get it going anyway, Coach. Why would I bother looking for it? I can't even call on my cell phone and text on my cell phone, never mind make it go blue. But anyway, make sure you're involved with that. So get there early to the game. We're Keeney Blue, and be ready for a great one. It's going to be an awesome game. We'll talk plenty about that, Coach. I do want to mention, though, the launch party the other night they had down in Newport. Yeah. Great crowd on hand. Stone Freeman, who's the executive director of Rhody Excellence, doing an awesome job for Rhode Island. The Rhody Collective, and supporting URI athletes. But the Rhody Ruckus Lager and the Rhody Ram IPA was unveiled, and the URI pint glasses. I know the team came down with you, Coach, and you guys had a great time.
We had a great time. That was the first time that I've been able to visit Newport Craft, and it's a great room. They had an unbelievable setup for us. It was packed. The launch went great. We were able to say hello to a lot of great people. They were actually with us on Monday night as we got done playing the game. So it was good to just communicate and just have everybody really at the end of the day in the community feeling good. But the launch is a big deal. It's an unbelievable, and we're thankful that we were able to generate somebody that was willing to do that. You know, any six-pack that's sold, anytime it's poured out of a tap that you get it, a percentage of the proceeds will get kicked back into the Excellence Fund, which is great long term. It's supplemental income. It streams forever, and buy a lot of beer.
Absolutely.
Buy a lot of beer.
The Rhody Excellence, for those that don't know, and you can explain it, Coach, with the NIL and all, this is a way for programs and everybody who is moving in the right direction is doing it, a way to fund the program and in order to go out there and compete for great players.
And we all know college athletics has changed in a big way,
yeah.
and not only in the last year, 2 years, or 2.5 that I've been at Rhode Island, but right now it's at a fevered pitch in terms of revenue sharing and the ability level to have your program retain, recruit, and sustain high-level play depends less on relationships in recruiting and much more in terms of the I don't want to know if you want the transactions, but it's way more transactional now than it ever has been before, especially when you're dealing in the transfer portal. But you still have a base of recruiting, you still have your philosophy, but none of it is able to be executed without NIL. And I think as things continue to get sifted through over the next 12 months, it'll change probably even a little bit more. But the NIL and our Rhody Excellence, collective is vital. I mean, there's nothing that it's the lifeline at this point in time in terms of how you manage your program.
Absolutely. So the launch is an important part of that. Stone is doing a lot of other work in other areas regarding Rhody Excellence. So contact Stone Freeman. Stone, maybe you can give us a contact information before we leave so we can get it. For anybody that wants to get involved just as a contributor, as a member of that Rhody Excellence support group, we appreciate it very much. The lager and the IPA are available right now throughout the state of Rhode Island at most of your liquor stores. So you want to check your package stores. It's great to have as a stocking stuffer or a gift for URI grad. Yeah. Get a 4-pack of that, put it under the tree or something. Or when people come over around the holidays, hey, this is my school. Have one of our lagers rather than the regular ones and try something different. So make sure you have it in the house for the holidays and knowing that you're helping out the athletics programs at the University of Rhode Island in a big, big way. Okay. Talking hoops.
Yep.
Right? Archie Miller. Coach's Show is all about basketball. And we want to thank our friends at Boon Street for having us here. 8-0. Best start in 77 years of URI basketball. Joe Form was there when it started, right? You and Frank Keeney hanging out over at over at the quad, getting ready for the big game. But it was, 1947, 48 that Rhode Island last started off 9-0. You're 8-0, Coach, and you're coming in one of 14 undefeated teams in the country at the Division I level. Sound pretty good to you?
Yeah, it's a lot better than the alternative, I can tell you that. I mean, the feeling of being able to win and generating, positive excitement level around our players, but more importantly, happy for our players. Yeah. They work so hard, and at the end of the day, you want them to reap the rewards, so to speak. And we've been able to go day by day. We've been able to go game by game, and slowly but surely we've gotten into the month of December, and it feels good. We have a lot of room to grow. We can still get a lot better. We have to get better as the competition continues to get better, and as we head into conference play. We're going to have to continue to, to grow as a team and figure things out. But, we're in a good spot right now, and, we'll take it, like I said, one game at a time.
Some of those 8 were expected. Other ones were impressive. 2 of the more impressive ones, we'll touch on them. Then we'll get to what's happening on Saturday in just a few moments. But the College of Charleston game, not that you won. They're a very, very good program, obviously, but the way you won, you throttled them. Talk about start to finish that game.
I think, we have a couple series games that were, returning. We started a series with Charleston last year. Yeah. Charleston is a CAA champion. They're an NCAA tournament team. We're trying to find more and more teams that are going to compete in the NCAA tournament that we can get home and aways. And, they got us pretty good down there last year as we went down there. Mm-hmm. And then this year I thought our guys really respected them. I thought we prepared well. And it was one of those days where we were clicking. And I thought, first time in a long time I have felt in the arena that our defense was the catalyst to everything that was happening in that game. We did a great job defensively. It created offense. We were able to get out early, and we steamrolled it all the way through. We did a great job in that game, and we were able to split that series. And I expect Charleston to not only compete for the CAA again this year, but I also expect them to be right there for another NCAA tournament bid come March.
Absolutely. And then the Yale game just the other night, Monday night, another impressive win. Down 3/4 of the game. For the first 30 minutes, for the most part, you were behind in that period. And, truthfully, from the sideline, didn't have a good feeling about that game right there. It looks like they were at arm's length and they were, doing some good things to keep it there. You guys, nice surge at the end to take the lead, hit your free throws, and won a big, big game.
Well, I think, from our coaching staff's perspective and our players now playing Yale a few times, that they don't get any better than playing Yale. I mean, I watched them play at Purdue. I watched them play Minnesota. We played them a year ago. You know exactly what you're getting when you play them. That is as physical of a game as you're going to be in. They're sound on offense and defense. They have tremendous players. And our guys, I felt like, didn't get off to a great start offensively. Mm-hmm. Uncharacteristically, we were very stagnant. We weren't able to adjust in the first half. And the end of the half, David Green's back-to-back threes, in my opinion, really kind of saved the half. It could have been a little bit different going in at halftime without the back-to-back threes. Then in the second half, it was a 50-50 game, but we started to play a little bit better. We started to play a little bit more free-flowing. And right when, you need to at home, surge, crowd got in it. I thought our defense made some good hard plays, and then we were able to strike in transition. And then I thought that the steamroll effect started to happen. We started to get to the foul line, and we were able to get there right where we wanted to last 4 or 5 minutes of the game. And press offense execution and making free throws down the stretch between Jaden, Sebastian. We cleaned the last 2 minutes up in terms of that, and we were able to pull away. But another team that's going to compete in the Ivy, they beat Auburn a year ago in the NCAA tournament. They'll be right there again in March to be in the tournament again, so it's another really quality game for us to be able to pull out.
From 8-13 to the buzzer, you were 12 of 13 from the free throw line.
Yeah, 27 for 30 in the game. Needed all 27 of them to win. Our guys work extremely hard on free throws all week, every week, in terms of what we do and how we do it. And to go there in crunch time and to be able to ice that game, that's a great feeling for our players.
And different guys have been performing well for you in that rotation on different nights. And that night, you mentioned the physicality. David Fuchs became an really important part. Not that he always isn't, but especially that night when that physicality kind of went to a high level.
As you go through a season, you're going to need guys. Some guys don't have it some nights, whether it's foul trouble or whatever, and you need your team approach to take over. 2 guys really stepped up. David was fantastic. He rebounded the ball. He was very, very physical in the game in terms of matching the physical play around the basket. And I thought defensively he was very active and very good. He really, really answered the bell. And then I thought Tyone, as a freshman in a big game, gave us great, great minutes in both halves and was able to really, really play effectively. So two young guys, a freshman and a sophomore, at the end of the day were called upon and needed. And I'll also tell you this, I thought Dav leaving Jacksonville really helped us. And I thought that Tyone maybe wasn't as good in Jacksonville, so it was good to see those guys continue to stay with it and bounce back. Sebastian and Dave, obviously, throughout the course of things, you count on those guys. But in terms of what you brought up with David and Tyone in particular, we got great minutes from those guys.
And Ty, in that second half of the UTA game, you started Jaden House in the second half. Ty came off he didn't come off the bench that game, but he came off the bench against Yale for you. A new role for him, a new role for Jaden as well. But talk about how each of them accepted those new roles.
Yeah, we made a quick switch into the game, and I don't expect it. Maybe it'll stay the same, maybe it won't stay the same. But we needed to get Ty back grounded and centered in on what he does well, and we needed him to be himself. That obviously worked. Jaden can start. He doesn't have to start, but he also knows at the end of the day what his role is on our team. So to be able to flip-flop that was good. But we need Ty's physicality. We need his size. It'll be a big part of the game on Saturday as well.
Yeah, he's got some length, arm length and all. I saw some zone against Detroit Mercy against you. Saw some zone against UTA. Saw some zone against Yale. Expect to see some Saturday?
I don't know. We go into every game regardless of what the team is doing, working on zone offense, because we either get fouled a lot, sometimes we're a difficult matchup for teams, and we saw extended defenses and different defenses in Jacksonville. And Yale, for the first time all season, brought out extended zone and a little zone, and we were okay against it. We weren't great, but I think moving forward we're going to pay a lot more attention to going into the game, expecting when it happens that we're ready. 2-3
zone. What's your goal? How do you
attack
attack
the paint?
it?
The ball's got to touch the paint with the pass, or the ball's got to touch the paint with the dribble.
1-3-1, which you saw against UTA.
They're a little bit unique with the 1-3-1, depending on it. Charleston played a very unique 1-3-1.
Yeah.
They put their center in the back, and he didn't really move a lot. So you really wanted to kind of attack the corners. Thought we did a great job in that game. If you play an aggressive 1-3-1 up top, sometimes you need to get a guy in the middle where you can, get some pressure releases. But really in the 1-3-1, our philosophy is to be able to get the ball diagonal. We want it corner to opposite slot, or we want it guard to guard back to the corner. If we can touch the four corners in a possession versus a 1-3-1, usually you break it down.
If you had to grade your zone offense that you've had an opportunity to play in game, what would you give it right now?
Just okay, probably a C.
Okay.
We've scored, we've gotten fouled, we've had good execution where we've been able to get the ball where we want. And at times we're obviously not as comfortable or not as good against it, but we have quality players at every position out on the floor that we feel can make the pass, the drive, the shot, and we've been okay. And even in the Yale game when we saw zone, I thought we executed pretty well and got good looks.
Well, we mentioned 12 of 13 down the stretch from the free throw line that helped you win that game against Yale. You've preached free throw rate since the summer, really since last year. That's the improvement you wanted to see, one of the areas. Right now, you're number one in the country, number one in the country in free throws made, 23 per game, and number one in the country in free throws attempted, 32 a game.
Yeah, it's a big deal for our style of play. We've always prided ourselves on being an attacking team. This team uniquely has a lot of guys diversely that can get fouled. And our style of pace, our ability level to attack the paint, it predicates itself on being able to get fouled. Last year's team, our style of play similarly got to the foul line at a good rate. We just shot the worst percentage in the country. Mm-hmm. It cost us a ton of games, as our players know. We talked about it last year, being a top 25 or top 30 free throw team in the country in terms of attempts, but being at the bottom in the country in percentage. So we've gotten back to work in terms of individual goals. We work at it in competition and practice. We know we're going to the line. We aspire to get to the line. Getting to the line is a big deal for us. And when you're number one in college basketball in any statistic, I don't care who you've played or how many games you've played, if you are the best in the country, then you better be able to deliver that other side of it, which is capitalizing. And I think right now our team knows that we get fouled. It's a big portion of how we play. Getting to the line is even more important. Making them is even the best thing.
Does it affect how teams play you defensively?
No question.
Is that coach saying, hey, listen, we can't put too much pressure on them because they're going to make their free throws?
Well, I think there's a lot of different ways that we generate fouls as well. We're not a team that, like throws the ball to one guy and he just draws, fouls. Jaden gets fouled. Sebastian gets fouled. Dave Green can get fouled. Javante and David in and around the basket get fouled. We are a downhill team. We want to play in transition, and I think we have a lot of ways to get fouled. If the other team is obviously preparing for us, you have to be able to say you got to get back, or you got to block out, or you got to keep them out of the paint. And I think what we're realizing as a team now, and on the fly as a player, you have to be able to adjust. Teams are basically either going to give us threes, they're going to make us shoot threes, but they're going to do everything in their power to try to protect the blue, because that's obviously our baby. That's where we want to get to. And in the Yale game, it was a perfect example. They really took us a long time in the game to figure out, wow, there's nowhere to go. They're surrounding us. They're making us pass. And we have to be able to adjust to that and get more ball movement. We've got to get more ball movement as a team. And when you play different styles every game, the thing that you lose sometimes is the rhythm of your offense being fluid. And I think that's something that we've, you're going to play against extreme pressure on Saturday. You're going to play against great size on Saturday. You're going to have to be able to execute, move the ball, create player movement so you can do some of the things that we want to do. I
want to get back to some of these because there's some other numbers that are really important. You're ranked highly in the country in a lot of things. Points per game, you're number 8. Rebounding margin, you're 68. I want to talk about that, and then we'll get to PC because I want to mention exactly what you were talking about a second ago. Rebound margin, you're +6. You're 68th in the country, which is a healthy numbers. 355 teams at Division I level in the country. Defensive rebounding, you're number 4. Offensive rebounding, you're number 246. Is that the Achilles heel right now?
Rebounding in general, I think, is our team's greatest weakness. It really is. Offensive rebounding has continued to slowly climb in a good way. The second half against Yale, there were some moments like Javante went up and got 2 or 3. We started to hit the offensive boards more. We're not as relentless or as physical as we need to be on the offensive glass. We have to keep kind of slowly climbing the ladder to get more from Ty, Dave, David, Drisa. The defensive side of the ball is our Achilles heel, in my opinion. Our first shot defense a lot of times in games is a stop. And you'll freeze the film, and you will miss the shot, and you will see inside position with all Rhode Island players. And we're not getting them. We're not getting 50-50s. We're not getting long balls. We're not adjusting to being able to, don't run in, you got to go out. So we're fighting that, and we're drilling us. But that is a big deal, is defensive rebounding. One of the big reasons we were able to beat Yale, who's a very good offensive rebounding team, is we rebounded our highest defensive rebounding percentage of the season in that game. So it's the key to the season. I told those guys, if you're going to give teams 12, 14, 15 offensive rebounds, you might as well check the ball up before the game starts and says, you get it 15 straight times, and then we'll jump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the equation. You're giving them 15 more opportunities. So we've got to keep working on that. It's got to be it's got to be our baby, just in terms of what can we improve on to help our team get better against the best teams on our schedule. We can't give up second shots.
That's an excellent analogy. You scored at least 81 in every game thus far. You're 8th in the country in points per game, as we mentioned. You're also number 8 in the country in fast break points. And you're not getting a lot of turnovers from the top of their offense, but nice to have a guy like Sebastian Thomas around to get that ball out the floor.
Second half, as things started to get tighter, the game started to get later on, finally we were able to break through with some great pace. And I thought, one made field goal in particular, maybe the game-changing play was a quick out of the net, Sebastian up to Jamarcus up the right sideline, and he got a quick layup and one. Yep. And we actually had Javante on a rim run under the basket. The pass was off, but that's a big part of our deal is our pace. We want to play on the run. If our defense can continue to rebound better and we can continue to get better defensively in terms of creating some things, we can even be more lethal in transition, because that's the hardest thing to do, live ball turnovers, defense to offense. So as we get better defensively, as we continue to get better defensive rebounding, I think we can even be better in transition. But makes and misses, we want to score.
Javante, you mentioned him early on, putting up some good points numbers-wise. Lately, they've been hard to come by. His efficiency is great, but they're double, triple, everybody's on him when he touches that ball.
They're laying on him, and he's dealing with a much more physical presence than he's probably seen in the first month of the season. There's 5 guys surrounding him at all times in terms of like him getting the easy catches. He's got to do his part now and adjust. He's got to play more physical. He's got to be smarter in terms of his post position, in terms of getting early and working. He's got to crush the offensive glass more. He's got to get off bodies more. But teams aren't going to just say, hey, big fella, stand right here and, we'll let you catch it. You know what I mean? He's got to continue to work and continue to cause problems for the other team. He's such a big presence for us in and around that rim.
He was number 1 in the country in field goal percentage, but now he's off the list because he's not taking enough shots to qualify.
We've got to get him the ball more, and I think he can get it more in transition. I think our guards can do a better job of throwing it to him in the flow of our offense, and I think, from a coach's perspective, we've got to find different ways to get him catches.
I was doing a little spying for you on my drive over. I was listening to the Kim English coach's show, which started at 6, and he had mentioned that with Bryce Hopkins in the lineup, he'll put him at the 5 and go small, and that makes it tougher for you to keep Javonte out there, I guess, right?
There's different ways you can look at it. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to play your best players, and as a coaching staff, you have to be able to play your best players. So from an adjustment standpoint, you may have to move Javonte off somebody else, or maybe you play some zone. I don't know. But the one thing that's unique about Providence is their best players are smaller. They want the size. They need the size in the game at times. But maybe half the game, if they put, now that he's back available, Bryce out there at the 4 and the 5, they're way more dangerous from an offensive perspective in terms of your matchups. And sometimes smaller is easier to coach that way in terms of what you're trying to do. But, we'll have to figure some things out. We're expecting to see a lot of that on Saturday.
Would you really play zone?
I don't want to, no. We don't really have a zone. But you got to be ready. Throw a curveball out there every once in a while.
Stay on your principles for now, though. Don't. We'll pull that lever later on. We'll break that glass when the emergency comes. Speaking of Hopkins being back, I watched the BYU game the other night. Very impressive effort. It seemed like everybody's game was elevated because he was back on the floor. How does that change what you're looking at when you look at Providence College, the games before and that game Tuesday?
I mean, you have to evaluate their team in terms up to that point, but you also have to evaluate their team on what they are now. And if you watch the BYU game, you could tell that they had such an edge about them in terms of there was a desperation in that arena. There was a vibe. You could watch the game on TV and see how amped up their players were. But, I think when you have a guy his caliber, I think everybody looks to him. And when he's available, he gives everybody else confidence. He calms things down a little bit that he's out there. And he looked like he hadn't missed a beat when he played against BYU. So we're going to get the best version of Providence. And I think Providence's team will get better moving forward, and they'll be evaluated, with him.
They did good work against BYU in that game. They won 83-64. They shot 71% in the first half, 60% for the game, 55% from 3, and they held BYU to 33% and 28% respectively. What did you see? What do you expect come Saturday?
Well, I thought that they dismantled BYU, from a personnel standpoint, their quickness, their pressure, their toughness. Their defense was absolutely, on it. And they took BYU out of pretty much everything that they wanted to do. BYU's offense really had no impact on the game. From an offensive perspective, they shot the heck out of the ball, and I think that's what they want to do. They have great spacing. They have multiple drivers on the floor at all times. They have 2 really good guards in Joseph and Pierre that can create. And, I think at the end of the day, whether they're big or whether they play small, they're a hard cover because their spacing is so good. And if they shoot it with Raheem and Barron and multiple guys, it's not just a one-man army out there trying to shoot threes. It's more like 3 or 4 guys. They become really lethal. When they had both ends of the floor going against BYU, you saw the best version of Providence on that night. We expect to see that on Saturday as well.
Abdul Rahim, impressive player on Tuesday when I saw him play. You mentioned their ability to shoot threes. Jaden Pierre was on the show that I was listening to, and he said with Hopkins out there, he draws so much attention that Pierre has never been as open as he was in that game to shoot.
Well, Bryce is a fantastic one-on-one player. He can really put the ball on the ground, and he draws a ton of fouls. As a defense, you obviously are catered to trying to load to him a little bit. But with their spacing and their shooting, those other guys are obviously hands and feet sort of ready. And when the ball hits them, they let it fly. And I thought that was a big deal in the game against BYU, is their rhythm of their shots, their crispness of the ball movement. They were ready to shoot, and they got going. And they showed how lethal they can be.
A couple of last things, Coach, if we could. Sebastian Thomas, number 18 in the country in assist-turnover ratio, number 11 in the country in assists, number 7 in the country in assists per game, and number 1 in the Atlantic 10 in steals. I was watching practice today. I stopped counting at 10 deflections that he had. He was in every passing lane. That's a big, underrated part of his game.
When you're small and you're going to give something up in terms of your physicality and size sometimes in and around the basket. But when you're small, you can't not be a pest. Mm-hmm. You can't not get your hands on balls. You can't not steal it. You can't not be a guy that can create deflections off the ball. But he's also very smart. He knows where he's supposed to be in terms of positioning. He's quick. And when you're in the right spot a lot of times, the ball ends up getting to you. But, he's done a nice job on both ends of the floor for us. I do think that there's some things that he can do a little bit better on both ends, like everybody.
Like what?
One thing on offense is, especially as we start a game, is to take what they're giving you. Don't force it. Sometimes, obviously, him getting to the basket, getting fouled as a guard, you want to get going. But sometimes getting going is take what they give you. And I think, early in games, getting other guys involved in transition, getting other guys involved when you touch the paint, find an assist early. Not that he's not getting assists, but early in games, find your rhythm in terms of being able to share it. And then defensively, because he is small, light, screens. We're trying to, on this first level of a lot of screens, not get behind. And he's got to do a good job of, obviously, a small guy being quick and getting over and trying to get back in front of ball screens sometimes at times. But it's hard to be perfect, you know what I mean?
David Green, don't want to leave the show without mentioning him. 50% from three right now, 16th in the country. And he's really one of the first that isn't stuck under that basket that's on that list, taking 2 3-footers.
Yeah.
He's stepping back and shooting. I've watched some A-10 games so far this year when I get a chance. I haven't seen anybody play better than him overall.
Dave's done a really nice job of, obviously, this offseason getting in better shape. He's been able to rehabilitate his body. I didn't think last year he was healthy. And I didn't think last year he was able to get in great shape because of how he was thrown into the mix.
Yeah, right.
So he was constantly battling, the fatigue in the body. And I thought this spring and summer he did a great job with his rehab. He did a great job with his body, and he's really doing a nice job right now of trying to maintain that. So he's available. He's in better condition. The second part of it is he is a true inside-out kind of guy. He can drive, he can post, but without question, I think the thing that you can see with him is he's got a great gift in terms of range, quickness on his shot, and he can create some problems in terms of spacing with the other team. But he's also done a really nice job, like a lot of our guys in certain positions, of just being ready for the moment in terms of what we need. He's stepping up, and he's a big personality in our locker room, and he's doing a really good job, in my opinion, right now, of just kind of staying with the everyday grind. But he's playing well for us.
Part of the group that's got you 62 in the net right now as of this morning, and that's a very healthy number for Rhode Island as we finish up non-conference and get to conference. Final thought, Coach, this guy who's
Who is that?
Eating up over here in the corner here, enjoying some pasta, Jaden House. Talk about the maturity of Jaden, really transitioning his game from what it was to what it is and how that's helped this team.
Well, let me say this about Jaden. Jaden's going to finish his college career. I could be wrong on this, but you may know. But Jaden's going to finish his college career between 1,500 and 2,000 points scored. Mm-hmm. You know how hard it is to do that?
That's hard.
I mean, if you can score 1,500 points in college, you're a hell of a player. If you start creeping into 16, 17, 1,800 points in your college career, you're a hell of a player. The thing that we need Jaden to do for us, and he knows this, is there's some give and take with all of the personalities on our team. And sometimes for him to be at his best, for him to be the most free, it has been to bring him off the bench. First time he's ever not started. And you know what he's done? He's like, I like that. I embrace that. It can help our team. And, that's the first set of okay, that's what you call sacrifice from an older player who's got to have a hell of a career who wants to win, right? And I don't think we're 8-0 if he doesn't buy into that. Does that mean that stays the same? I don't know. We'll do what we have to do to be at our best. Second part with him is constantly trying to put him in a position so defensively he can make an impact on the game. And I think the other night we had a heck of a challenge with Polakaitis. And he and Tyone, for the most part, held him to 2 for 10 from 3. He got 25 on 20-some shots. We made him work. But him becoming a guy that we can trust to put on the other team's best guy because he's physical and he can get in front of potties and he's strong. And he's done a really good job in that area answering the bell as well. And I think as we keep moving down the line, I mean, there's no question to me he's not only one of the best players in our league, but he's one of the best players on our team. And I think he's doing what we're asking him to do, and he's not asking a lot of questions.
Detroit Mercy, Lovejoy was going crazy. You switched and put Jaden on him, stronger, kept him out of the lane.
You know, we struggled in that Detroit game with the high ball screen, and we needed a physical body on a physical guard. And Jaden was able to not only do that, but he was able to, about a 4-minute stretch in the game, get the game under control by himself by being able to handle that and being able to execute that, what we needed to do in that time. And, I think that's what we're asking of him right now is to do a lot of different things. And I think he knows that when the money's on the line, he's going to be out there and he's going to be ready. And, I think biggest thing for him and all of our guys to understand is it never changes. With team success comes all of the individual stuff that you want. It doesn't work the other way. And to get guys to figure that out, that winning can get me way further along down the line than just scoring, that's a different feeling, I think, for a guy to start to embrace that as they come down the home stretch of their career.
Somebody asked me the other day, who's the best player on URI's team? And I said, well, probably maybe Sabat. Well, it could be Javon. I'm like, maybe Jaden. There's five guys you can make a good argument for.
Of our 8 guys, it hasn't been the same guy every game that you could say, boy, that guy's their best player. Right. We've had a lot of different guys step up. It's the beauty of our team, but it's the beauty of, like, how far can we go and how high of a ceiling do we really have if we could max out everybody on our team, because there's really not a guy on the floor that can't impact the game on both ends. There's not a guy on the floor that can't make a shot. And if we ever can just get everybody at one time sort of rolling along in the same direction, in my opinion, it's one of the better groups I've been around, especially offensively. We have some guys that can really put the ball in the basket.
2 things you need to do to beat PC.
Rebound the ball and take care of the ball.
Okay.
They will both be at a paramount. We have to rebound the ball, and we have to take care of the ball.
And when we're talking about the different people that could be candidates for your best player, there's so many people that perform well. There's one other piece to the puzzle, and that's that you're a great coach. We appreciate you very much, man.
All right, Steve, I appreciate that, buddy.
All right. Archie Miller with us, 8-0. 8-0, one of 14 teams in the country, still undefeated. Let's continue that one through the weekend and beyond. We'll be back in just a bit. Jaden House going to join us. Shot. No, right over here. Yeah, there you go. Michaela taking the picture for the website. We're going to act like we're talking to each other over here. That's the old trick. Jaden House is with us, ladies and gentlemen. How about it? Senior, 6'4", out of Richmond, Virginia. You better know your Richmond, Virginia stuff, because we're going to ask you. You're going to be on the hot seat with Know Your Hometown in just a little bit. Franny, how you doing? Franny is here. It's the 110th Coaches Show that Fran has attended. We appreciate it, Fran. Proving once out. Did you really go over there? Proving once again that you have no social life whatsoever, Fran. Coach's show? I'll show up. Absolutely. Hey, Silk Owens and I were doing the Jacksonville games, and we decided Microwave would be a great nickname for you. You know who was Microwave in the NBA? You ever hear of Vinnie Johnson? Played for the Detroit Pistons? It's a long time ago. Yeah, Franny, you remember Vinnie Johnson, right? Absolutely. The Microwave, right? He was like the greatest 6th man at that time or whatever. So that was your nickname. And then Coach goes and starts you and blows everything up, so we can't use that anymore. Jaden House is with us, and we got some stuff to talk about. First of all, 8-0 this team. And I want to thank Shane Donaldson, who is the all-time greatest sports information director. He's the assistant athletic director of the University of Rhode Island. Except for you, Meg, of course, and Michaela. It's a tie for first over there. But Shane mentioned that just 9 teams, not 14, because 5 undefeated teams lost last night. So now only 9 teams in the country are undefeated, and one of them is the University of Rhode Island. How about that? And Maureen McCarthy, you know Maureen, right? She handles all she works in the ticket office. She's the manager of the ticket office. It's Maureen's birthday today. How about that? Huh? That is fantastic. So if you want to call tomorrow and order your tickets for the PC game, there are, she said, about 200 left, and you can wish her a happy birthday as well. There's no birthday discount, but we do have about 100 to 200 tickets available. GoRhody.com or call in the morning when the box office opens at 874 Rams. You want a full house, right? Not a seat empty in that whole place. Empty. Now you've been part of that PC game last year. You know the rival. You're not from around here. You're from Richmond, but talk about the intensity level for a non-conference game when Providence and the University of Rhode Island get together.
I didn't really understand it at first when I first got to campus. I've heard people talking about it and stuff, but I didn't really get the, how serious it really was around here. Yeah. When we first started playing and when we first hit the court, it was different.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was different. Something that you only experience when you play the Kentuckys, the Dukes, and stuff like that. That's the only time that you really see an atmosphere like that. So it was good, and it was a lot of fun to be out there playing that game.
Now you're Richmond. Justin Fernandez is Richmond as well. He was George Mason, then came over with Coach English to Providence College. I remember him from the Mason days. He was a good player. Yeah. Did you know him? He's a little younger than you, right?
Yeah, we work out together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah.
In the off season now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
awesome.
awesome.
I've been working out with him since I was probably about 16, 15.
Get out of town. Yeah. Really? Do you live close together?
He stay in Chesterfield, so I stay downtown Richmond, probably 10 minutes from City Hall.
Okay.
And he stayed maybe more South Richmond, around Chesterfield area.
All right.
But yeah, I know him.
So you're good friends.
Yeah.
You talk during the season. You text back and forth and stuff.
Yeah, not this week though.
Not this week. No way. No, absolutely not. I said Justin will catch you on the other side of this, right? When conference play starts up, we'll talk again. Hey, want to talk to you. First of all, congratulations. You have been one of the real bright lights of this team. When we were talking about, the players who have impacted this team the most, your name is in that conversation for sure. And you've really transitioned your game. It's not only the six-man thing, but now you're back in the starting lineup, and it can go either way. But it's also the efficiency. Last year, a lot of threes. This year, not as many threes, a lot of dribble penetration. Just talk about forming your game differently this year than it was last. And last year was good, but this year it seems to be working out great.
I mean, yeah, this year was different. Just because of the team that we got.
Yeah.
We're better. We're a better team. But I think just for me, it's just I was settling a lot. Last year, I just, shot clock rolled down. I just, just was settling for threes. And Coach had talked to me, just with my body and how physical my game is, I just don't really have to settle as much. Mm-hmm. So just going out there and just taking better shots, the good shots, not just taking anything. So that was my main focus, just make sure every shot that I take is good shots.
I got to say that I cannot remember. I was on the drive over thinking, who's better dribble penetration that I've seen at URI than Jaden House? I don't know. There might be a few, but there aren't many. When you take that ball in the lane, it's unbelievable. Do you watch tape on your defenders to see where they might play you, or is it just instinct? Take us into that lane when you're getting layup after layup.
When I was at High Point, before I transferred in, I didn't watch any film, really.
Okay.
I was just recklessly driving, but now that I've got here and the competition has obviously got better, you have to watch film. You have to, see the tendencies of the players that you're playing against. So I read the bigs a lot now. If a big is, rotating out or not really in the position they're supposed to be, I'm gone.
Mm-hmm. So you have confidence to beat the guy that's guarding you. It's what's behind him.
It's what's behind him that you're reading. You don't really read too much into the because you get ball screens and stuff like that. It's a lot easier to get past the first line, but it's that help defense that'll shut you down.
And the great thing is Sebastian's pretty good at it too. So you got guys on either side of the floor, or maybe he's in the middle of the floor at the time, that can both do it. That must help you find some more holes.
Yeah, definitely. Bassi has changed my game completely. It's a lot easier. Yeah, a lot
how
easier.
so? Yeah, explain that a little more about how he's changed your game.
Before Bassi came in, it was most teams they were loaded over whenever I had the ball now, but just not just Bassi, but Jamar, DG, coming back and being way different player. it opens everything up for me now with lanes, because you can't just worry about me. You got Jamar in the corner, you got DG at the top, you got Bassie coming trailing behind me. So there's just so many different players in different spots that you just can't load up on me, because we're gonna make the right reads.
I also think, and you can tell me the impact that Jamarcus Lawrence has had. Such a mature player. Across his stat sheet is always steady and good every night. You know what you're getting. Does he help you be a better player? Yeah,
I learned a lot from Jamar when he first came in, just about how serious he takes the game, like how hard he works. He's in the gym every day, twice a day, 3 times a day. He takes care of his body. He's in the training room all the time. Like you said, mature.
Yeah.
I've never seen. He's younger than me, so I haven't seen nobody his age that just takes the game as serious as he does. So I learned a lot from him.
That's awesome. Now, last year, was it 30 games, 30 starts, right? Or just about.
Yeah.
You were right? And this year, it is different. I do want to talk about that. Take us back to the conversation that Coach had with you, the moment where he said, hey, listen, we want you to come off the bench rather than be a starter. How did you react to it initially, and how have you become comfortable with it going forward?
I mean, when you're a starter at the Division I level, your whole career, basically, obviously it hits you at first. It's like the first thing you're thinking is like, what did I do wrong?
Sure.
But it wasn't anything like that. It was just, that was the lineup that was, we got the best chance of winning at the end of the day. And that's all I really want to do. I've been in college a little while now, and, winning is the one thing that I can't check mark on my resume. So now that we got the team that we got now, starting off the way we did, I believe in this team a lot, and I'll do whatever it takes for us to get a win.
That's a great statement, right? One is the one check mark you haven't knocked off yet. I think that speaks volumes about how you're approaching this season, and it shows. It really shows. Those first 4 minutes, except for the Yale game, that you're on the bench. You usually come into that media timeout, the first one, so it's not long before you're in that game, and then you're out there. Your minutes are the same. Your points are a little bit better than last year. So everything is there for you. But those first 4 minutes while you're watching the other guys play, do you learn something about your opponent, about what you're going to do when you get in there 4 minutes later?
Yeah, just seeing how they playing, seeing the reads that they making, see how really I'm watching Bassie the whole time to see how he takes the game and what reads he's making. So whenever I get in, like like I said, I don't mean to stay on him the whole time, but Bassie changes the game for us. Like it's a totally different team. It's a totally different pace that we're playing at, and I just he makes everything easier.
Yeah, because every kid wants to play fast, right? And you guys are up and down the floor. Like if you were just a pickup game, that's the way you want to play.
Yeah, that's how it looks sometimes.
But there's a design to it, right? Talk about what Coach is looking for, right? You know where you're going, but he just wants you to get there faster.
Yeah, just quicker inbounds, making sure he's always on me about making sure when I sprint all the way down to the corner, because I got a real bad habit of just stopping. Okay. This is a habit that I have, but he's always on me about making sure, run all the way down the court. Make sure you full sprint all the way down to the corner. So, I mean, just those little things that just make it's small things, but it makes the bigger difference once the game goes on, and it tires teams out a lot.
Jaden, I gotta. We've been talking offense the whole time, but to me, the biggest improvement that you've made is on the defensive side of the ball. Last year, you were a great scorer, but on the other end, sometimes give up a little bit. This year, your defense has improved greatly. Talk about the work you've put in, the improvement that you've made on that side of the ball.
During the offseason, we had a conversation about just making sure that, when I do come in, there's no let-up on either side. And, I mean, I take it a lot more serious now. Like, I think I can go back to my earlier years in college when I was a defensive player. Like, that's what I came in and did. And, I've been in different roles all throughout my career. So, coming in now and just, being that sixth guy, I take that side of the ball a lot serious now, and I just don't. You never want to be the one to give up a bucket or, make a mistake. So I just make sure, like, I'm locked in whenever I'm on that side of the ball now.
I don't know if you heard Coach and I talk, and I mentioned Lovejoy for Detroit Mercy. Coach switched you on to him to try to stop that dribble penetration from him. You like those challenges?
Yeah, always. Because I know, Coach is a real big, he stays on me a lot. So, like, whenever he brings out a challenge. It's just like, oh, can you do it or not? And it's just like, yeah, I got you. I could do it.
Talk about this team. You mentioned that one box you haven't checked off is success. You're 8-0. There's only 9 teams in the country that are still undefeated. How good can this team be?
As good as we want to be. I feel like whenever we come out, the only team that could beat us is us. Mm-hmm. You know, we sometimes we come out lackadaisical. Sometimes we, just like he said, get stagnant on offense and stuff, not really moving the ball and stuff like that. And I think that's a us thing. That's not really the other team. So we could be as good as we want to be. You
guys have a big challenge on Saturday in Providence College. Size up that game. What you know you have to do in order to get to 9-0.
The biggest thing is rebounding the ball. Just making sure that we put an extra emphasis on making sure we secure rebounds. We get stops. I feel like our defense has really dramatically improved since last year. Mm-hmm. All we got to do is just secure the rebounds now. Just make sure we limit them to one shot.
Excellent. Jaden, I can't tell you how proud I am of you. I just really enjoy watching you play and how much you've improved on both sides of the ball, efficiency and defensively. It's a big plus, and it's one of the biggest reasons why Rhode Island is as successful as you are. And when I looked out at Yale when we were starting that game, I said to myself, that's a heck of a starting 5 right there. That's not too shabby. With Ty coming off the bench, talk about that relationship too. Ty had that starting role, and then he came off the bench with Yale. Here's a freshman who can do a lot of good things. Your relationship with him?
That's like my little brother.
Oh, yeah?
I got to make sure that he stay locked in all the time because, at the end of the day, he's a freshman.
Yeah,
He's gonna have some days where he makes mistakes. So I just got to make sure that whenever he's on the court or whenever he's having a little drought or whatever where he's not feeling himself, I just got to make sure I keep picking him up.
Okay.
Because we need him a lot.
What were you eating over there? What was that?
Some ramen.
What is it?
Ramen.
Ramen? Oh, ramen.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Hey, it's time for Know Your Hometown. You ready? This is how we finish up every player interview, and you are no exception. Richmond, Virginia. I'm going to ask some questions about your hometown of Richmond, and you have to, we're going to see how much you know about the place that you come from, all right? You ready?
Yeah.
Richmond is the 4th largest city in Virginia. The 4th largest city in Virginia. Name one of the top 3 cities that are ahead of Richmond on that list. There's 3 of them. I only need one.
Norfolk.
Norfolk is one of them. Fantastic. All right. Chesapeake, and you want to try the last one?
Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach is right. Wow. You've been studying. I think you've been studying. That's great. You got that's excellent. They're both exactly right. I just lost my page. Okay, here we go. Over under, right? Over under. From Richmond to Washington D.C. is a 100-mile drive. Over or under 100 miles?
Under.
It is under. It's 92 miles. Fantastic. So you're 2 for 2, but really 3 for 3 because you got Virginia Beach, which is like extra credit. Which NFL team holds its summer training camps in Richmond?
Commander.
The Washington Commanders is correct. Right down the street. That's great. All right, and we got 2 more. This is going to be a little bit of a tough one. I don't know if you know the Richmond minor league baseball team in town. What is the mascot for the Richmond minor league baseball team? It's one of the best mascots in the league, the country, really.
Flying Squirrels.
The Flying Squirrels is correct. Absolutely. And the final question is true or false. When we go to Richmond to play on January 11th, my cousin Bob Marcello and his family will go to the game but not buy me dinner for the 8th year in a row. Do you think that's true? That is true. I'll answer that one for you. No question about it. Jaden, thanks for all the great work you're doing. Congratulations on the early success. Let's keep it rolling on Saturday and beyond and get this thing done, all right?
Yes,
nice job, man. Appreciate having you. All right. Jaden House, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank everybody here from the Boon Street Market. Remember, Saturday, 10 a.m. They're opening early at 10 a.m. We got a noontime tip against Providence. If you don't have tickets, watch it right here. If you do, come here at 10, head out at 11:15 or so, head up to the game. You do have to get there early, right? We want everybody there early because we're going to have some pregame stuff for you and everything. But if you're here or after the game, come on back here, watch the Rhody football team. They play at 2 o'clock in Mercer, at Mercer. Stone's going to be down there with them. giving you all the play-by-play, and that's on the Varsity Network. So we got hoops at noon, we got football at 2, and we got the Boon Street Market for you right here. Glad to have you down. Thanks for having us here tonight. Jaden, way to go, man. Good luck on Saturday. Thanks, everybody. Go Rhody.
You've been listening to the Archie Miller Show. Tonight's show has been brought to you by Rhode Island Medical Imaging, the official medical imaging company of URI Athletics. Dunkin' Donuts, sip the Rhody way. Ortho Rhode Island, the official orthopedic and sports medicine provider for URI Athletics. Pizza Gourmet, Rhode Island's wood-grilled pizza crust, is a proud sponsor of URI Athletics. Bank RI, bank on our strength. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the Rhody Sports Network.